Well, there seems to be no end in sight for South Africa's troubles, while government has its sights firmly set on fixing the crippling energy crisis. Well, the Financial Action Task Force yesterday greylisted the country. The global anti-money laundering watchdog has identified South Africa's deficiencies, highlighting illicit financial flows and terrorist financing standards. Now, this move has the potential to affect investor confidence. So let's bring in her capacity as chairperson of the ANC's Economic Transformation Subcommittee, Mmamoloko Kubayi, joining us for the party's perspective on this. And Minister, thank you so much for your time. A pleasure talking to you this afternoon. We'll speak in your capacity as the ANC's Economic Transformation Subcommittee chair. Understandably, this now changes, I suppose, how the country needs to look at fixing its money laundering strategies on how to tighten there, as well as standards when it comes to illicit financing. So just take us through what the party's standpoint is right now post that announcement by the FATF.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think we received the report. Obviously, we've been monitoring as the ANC over time. We know that since last year, there were warnings that we're likely to be greylisted, and monitoring from the side of the ANC would have meant that our deployees giving us some confidence of the work that they've been done. I think we note the report, or we note the greylisting. But more importantly for us is the action plan announced by Minister of Finance and the work that has been done. When you go to FATF's website, first thing you see is the impact that, or the response that they say South Africa put. They even indicated a high-powered delegation that went there to try and explain our situation. Obviously, there are things that shouldn't have happened in our country, but we find ourselves here. There are things that we have had to do, which we have done. We moved from 130 as a country to almost 8 outstanding matters. And on the 8, it's not like they are all incomplete completely, that nothing has been done. FATF expects that all of them must be done 100%, not 80%, not 70%, but 100%. And that's when we engage with the Minister of Finance, myself as the chair, to understand, as you know, that the committees have been reconstituted. We'll start the work from next week, and we'll be able to start as the committee to monitor some of these areas and how do we do in terms of implementing the action plan. We were reassured by the statement by the South African Reserve Bank, committing to supporting the country and action some of the issues that needed to. The reassurance message from the Minister of Finance, I think it was critical for investors as we see this, and that's why as the ANC, we came in as the ruling party, because most of the time, even investors want to know in terms of from policy point of view and from legislative point of view. Maybe just to explain, because some of the people say that we changed the laws late. We didn't, because the laws that we had to amend were on the basis of feedback from FATF, saying, yes, we have money laundering laws, but you need to strengthen the following areas. And that's what we put before Parliament, and Parliament was able to pass them in time.
Minister, with that being said, I mean, I know that Mauritius is one of the countries that's been lauded for getting out of, that greylisting within a matter of 18 months. I stand to be corrected, saying that, they were greylisted, but it took them more or less 18 months to come out. And now they actually check the points of FATF very well. How soon do you think South Africa stands the same chance of getting out of this greylisting quickly?
No, I do believe that we'll get out of the areas quickly. I mean, if as we looked at the areas, the 8 areas, and we asked questions, and one of the things from our side, what we're going to do as the committee, is to also help monitoring, asking our deployees, for example, engaging with the Minister of Finance to ask in terms of where the policies are needed to be changed, so that we can support as the subcommittee where legislation needs to be changed still. Will be able to support, but more in terms of, because what we believe is around implementation. Part of the issues, maybe just to reflect, one of the issues that is being raised there is the funding of movement of cash, especially in businesses, for example, that are small businesses, informal businesses, but more even around NGOs. So in that area, we'll be supportive to understand where it is. And how FATF raises this is that some of the money ends up in organizations that are linked with terrorist organizations. So we needed to tighten up around those areas when you look at the report. Now, as a country, we've got to be able to look at those and say, what is it that needs to be done? And work together, all of us, and calling on South Africans to understand the importance. When those legislation are brought forward by the ministers and by government, we must be able to say it is important, it's in the interest of the country, and we must be able to cooperate.
Yeah. Will the ordinary South African on the ground feel this greylisting, in your opinion? And I ask this because I spoke to an economist earlier on in the week saying definitely the banks will feel it, financial institutions will feel it directly, investors will be impacted by this, but it's the ordinary South Africans that I see them talking about this, even on social media, and I wonder if there will be direct impact that will be felt immediately.
Look, whether it will be, I doubt there will be immediate impact, but in the long term, for example, banks are likely to look at their credit granting and might put more stringent measures, which unfortunately in the case of South Africa, you might find a majority of the people being unable to access credit. Indirectly, in terms of if investment doesn't happen, if investors tend not to believe in the message and say we will wait until you're out of greylisting, then it means that in terms of the jobs that are likely to be created, economic growth that we want to see is likely to be impacted upon. So it's that indirect impact that I see. And how quick will we start seeing it? We'll be able to see, but obviously you saw the rent. It's one of those who are trading would have started to feel the impact today as businesses directly. And the indirect impact on the ordinary South Africans, it will be around those that are impacted upon in either if those companies are not able to survive the weakening of the rand in terms of trade, and they can't trade properly. So it's those things that we'll look into as we monitor the work to see more in depth. What we can learn is from other countries, how they've been able to be impacted upon. But as we said, others have been able to turn around the corner quickly, and the impact was not felt.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to me about this. Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi, Minister of Human Settlements, also in your capacity as ANC Economic Transformation Subcommittee Chair, thank you for your time this afternoon.